a big statement. Obviously, Xavier Worthy setting the record last year, beating John Ross's time, that already turned a lot of heads. And you don't have a bunch of people that go out there and say, yeah, I'm going to not only get a great time, but I'm going to be the fastest receiver in any draft class ever. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the top results from this year's incoming draft class and compare them to some of the best all-time combine performances that we've seen. So this is a bit of a combine recap for those of you who missed it. And yeah, welcome to the 2025 combine for the upcoming draft. So starting with the 40-yard dash itself, let us take a quick look at Isaiah Bond. The man, the myth, the legend. He said he was going to go out there and beat Xavier Worthy's record time of 4.21 seconds. That means he needs to get a 4.20 flat or faster. Well, Isaiah Bond unfortunately did not deliver on his claim, and not only that, he came nowhere near the time he was suggesting he was going to. Isaiah Bond clocks in with a 4.39 second 40-yard dash on his second attempt, and that puts him at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19th, tied for 19th fastest individual in just this year's draft. And he thought he was going to be the fastest man ever in the draft. The commentator said it as soon as he ran his time. You do not over-promise and under-deliver. Horrible job by Isaiah Bond on boosting his draft stock. But let us take a look at the 5 best performances in this year's NFL Combine. So, coming in at number 5, the 5th fastest time in this year's Combine was running back from Virginia Tech, Bayshul Tutin. Bayshul Tutin was phenomenal. He had a great combine. All in all, I heard that his draft stock went up greatly, and he comes in at 5th fastest with a time of 4.32 seconds. After that, we have Tennessee wide receiver Dante Thornton Jr., who clocked in at a 4.30. At the exact same time as Dante Thornton, we have cornerback out of Iowa State, Darian Porter, who also ran a 4.30. Next, our second fastest draft combine runner in the 40-yard dash was indeed a Texas wide receiver, but not by the name of Isaiah Bond. It was Matthew Golden, who definitely boosted his draft stock with this performance. And finally, our top finisher in the 2025 Combine, the fastest guy in this draft class, is going to be Maxwell Hairston, cornerback out of Kentucky, running a 4.28 40-yard dash. Now these are all good performances. I'll say that they're good. We got 2 people in the 4.2s, which is impressive. But let's see how they stack up against the best performers of all time in the 40-yard dash. In the 40, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 total people finish at a time of less than 4.3, so anywhere in the 4.2 range. So congratulations to Maxwell Hairston and Matthew Golden for cracking the top 18. But as far as it comes with the top 5, we did not see any new additions this year. Our top 5 all-time 40-yard dash performances are: number 1, Xavier Worthy, wide receiver from Texas, 2024, 4.21 seconds. Number 2, wide receiver out of Washington, John Ross, in 2017, with the at the time record 4.22 seconds. Chris Johnson, also known as CJ2K, in the year 2008, running a 4.24. And finally, DJ Turner II, cornerback out of Michigan in the 2023 Combine, running a 4.26 second 40. Tied for that final fifth place, we also do have Tariq Woolen, or Reek Woolen, 2022 Texas San Antonio cornerback, and Dry Archer, running back out of Kent State. So, very commendable performances from Hairston and Golden, but Bond, no, not good at all. So with that, let's move into our second major category. This is going to be the 10-yard split. So in this year's 10-yard split, we had all top 5 finishers finish with the exact same time, a time of 1.49 seconds. Let's take a look at the names on this list. Coming in at 5th, we had running back out of Virginia Tech, Bashul Tutin. I already mentioned that his draft stock went up a lot, and his brilliant performances in both the 40-yard dash and the 10-yard split is a good reason why. Next up, we have wide receiver out of Utah State, Jalen Royals. Then we have cornerback out of Iowa State, once again, Darian Porter. And then, making another appearance on this list, wide receiver out of Texas, Matthew Golden. And finally, safety out of South Carolina, we have Nick Emanwari. That's a name you're going to get familiar with in just a sec. So yeah, these are our 5 fastest 10-yard split performers in the 2025 Combine. Let's see how they fare against the top 5 fastest ever. So, if we take a look at our historic times, the first page of this doesn't even go all the way back to 1.49. My goodness, whose brakes are that oily? Is that? How can anything make a noise that loud? What is going on out there? Anyhow, yeah, we take a look all time. I'd say in our top 30, no one cracked the top 30 this year for the 10-yard split. So we'll just pay attention to the top 5 finishers. Coming in at number 1, the fastest 10-yard split ever was by none other than Chris Johnson, running back out of East Carolina in 2008. He finished with a 1.40 flat second 10-yard split. Then we have Henry Ruggs III. He had 1.43 seconds, wide receiver out of Alabama. Then we've got Malcolm Mitchell, 2016, New England Patriots wide receiver out of Georgia. He ran 1.43 seconds. We've got Cedric Woods in the 2019 Combine, safety out of Mississippi, 1.44 seconds. And finally, cornerback out of LSU in 2018, Dante Jackson, who ran a 1.44. CJ2K, Chris Johnson, that is a fast time. I don't know if we'll ever see another one like that. He is 0.3 seconds faster than the next nearest guy. And yeah, a 0.3 difference takes you from Henry Ruggs III all the way down to the last person on this list. So he was fast. He was electric fast. A whole 0.09 seconds faster than anyone in this year. But, that's why he has the reputation that he has. Anywho, with that, let us move into our next part of the Combine, our next great feat that we'll be looking at, and this is the vertical jump. This is one that I very desperately want to get measured. I would love to know what my vertical is. Probably nothing impressive, but I feel like it's just something I would like to know so that I could improve it. Anyhow, this year we had one person who finished firmly at the top, and then we had 4 people tie for the second best vertical jump height. So let's take a quick look at our top finishers from the 2025 Combine. Coming in at tied for second place, Jalen Noel, a wide receiver out of Iowa State. He jumped a height of 41 inches in 0.5. I was going to say centimeters, but no, 41.5 inches. Next we have safety out of Clemson, R.J. Mickens, also jumping 41.5 inches. Then we have safety out of Nevada, Keaton Crawford, 41.5 inches as well. And finally, we've got wide receiver out of Miami, Sam Brown Jr., who also jumped a height of 41.5 inches. Now, our top finisher in the 2025 Combine was Nick Emmanwori, safety out of South Carolina, with a total height of 43 inches. You'll notice this name was also the top finisher in the 10-yard split. So, Nick Emmanwori, I told you, get familiar with them. Let's now compare this to the all-time finishers in the vertical jump. Now, I won't lie, when I saw this list, I was a little bit surprised. Not quite the guys I was expecting on here. Sorry. And taking a look at this year's results, we do have Nick Emmanwori cracking the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 15th all time. So not quite the top 5, not quite the top 10, but it's a solid combine performance by Nick Emmanwori in the vertical jump. Let's take a closer look at our top 5 finishers. We've got 2 people tied at first, actually. In 2015, we saw wide receiver out of Georgia, Chris Conley, jump a vertical height of 45 inches. And I think this one was a little bit surprising because I didn't know Chris Conley had hops like that. I don't know, I don't think of Chris Conley as like that amazing of a wide receiver. He did have some nice games here and there, but he's got some bounces that I was not aware of. Next up, tied for 45 inches with Chris Conley, we've got Donald Washington, cornerback out of Ohio State in the 2009 Combine. Next up, we've got Donovan Peoples-Jones in 2020, 44.5 inches, wide receiver out of Michigan. I want to say drafted to the Browns. I remember him. The name is very familiar, but also didn't know he had bounce. Then, tied with Donovan Peoples-Jones at 44.5 inches, we've got Byron Jones in the 2015 Combine, cornerback out of Connecticut. Now this one I did know. I know Byron Jones has a great vertical height because I also know Byron Jones has an elite broad jump. That's one that I was aware of, so no surprises here. And finally, we've got Quan Martin, 2023 Combine, cornerback out of Illinois. He jumped a height of 44 inches. There are a lot of names in this top 15 that I am not familiar with. I see Marcus Williams. I see Miles Boykin, Obi Melifonwu, Juan Thornhill, and yeah, a lot of other guys who they're going over the top of my head. I guess vertical jump does not correlate with NFL success. Because some of the guys I see on here aren't even anything that spectacular. We've got Christine Michael. I mean, he had a couple good games here and there, but nothing to write home about. stand in place, you jump forward as far as possible. I'd also be interested in measuring my broad jump length. I don't think I have anything comparable to any of these guys here. I'm not a athletic freak like that, but I think compared to the average person, I could fare decently well. Let's take a look. We had our top 5 finishers in this year's combine. We've got 2 people tied for 5th place, one being wide receiver out of Virginia Tech, Jalen Lane, and the other being Quinshon Judkins, running back out of Ohio State, and they both jumped a distance of 11 feet and 0 inches. We also have wide receiver out of Nebraska, Isaiah Nayor, and he came in 4th with a broad jump of 11 feet and 1 inch. Then we have wide receiver Jalen Noel, who I think we saw in the vertical jump as well. Wide receiver out of Iowa State, and he had a broad jump of 11 feet and 2 inches. Tied with Robert Longerbeam, cornerback out of Rutgers, who also jumped 11 feet 2 inches. And finally, our first place finisher in the 2025 Combine, once again, safety out of South Carolina, Nick Imanwori, 11 feet and 6 inches. Now, I think at this point we can all admit Nick Imanwori is a freak of nature. He is killing it in a lot of these categories. What was it? Top in the 10-yard split, top in the vertical jump, now top in the broad jump. This guy, oh man, he's making a name for himself. And if we take a look at the all-time finishes in the broad jump, we do see Nick Imanwori's name. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He cracked the top 10. Attaboy, that's pretty good. The closest thing we've got in history so far today. And taking a look at our top 5 finishers all time in the broad jump at the Combine, we have in first place cornerback out of Connecticut, Byron Jones, at a world record of 12 feet and 3 inches. I don't know if the world record still stands, but I know that when Byron Jones did that back in 2015, I believe it was a world record. That's the only reason I knew that Byron Jones had a great broad jump and vertical jump. Next up, we have safety out of Texas Tech in 2024, Tyler Owens, who came close, but no cigar, 12 feet and 2 inches. Then we have in 2019, wide receiver out of Missouri, Emmanuel Hall, who jumped 11 feet and 9 inches. So we notice a pretty big drop between Tyler Owens, Byron Jones, and the rest of the field. Next up, in 2019, we had safety out of Virginia, Juan Thornhill, who jumped 11 feet and 9 inches as well. And finally, in 2017, safety out of Connecticut, Obi Melifonwu, 11 feet and 9 inches. So we have first place, second place, and 3 people all tied for our third place finish. And Nick Imanwori all the way down at 10, which is pretty good. I mean, top 10. That's impressive. I didn't know Jamie Collins was top 10 in this. Also, I mean, Jamie Collins was athletic. If you ever look up a Jamie Collins highlight reel, you should see that guy do a backflip. He can do a backflip like nobody's business. At that size, very impressive. Alright, well, we're now ready for our next event, our next category. So let's take a look at this year's 3-cone drill performances. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. Well, I'll tell you one thing. This year's 3-cone drill was not near a record-breaking caliber. They're looking quite slow in my opinion, but I'll let you make the judgment, the final judgment on that. this year, coming in 5th at the three-cone drill, we have Jacoby George, wide receiver out of Miami, at 6.77 seconds. Then we've got wide receiver out of Virginia Tech, Jalen Lane, 6.75 seconds. Coming in at 3rd, we've got safety out of Wisconsin, Hunter Waller, at 6.72 seconds. Then, making another appearance at the top of one of these lists, we've got cornerback out of Iowa State, Darian Porter, 6.71 seconds. And number 1 in this year's 2025 Combine, we've got Des Johnson, wide receiver out of Oregon, at 6.65 seconds. 6.65 seconds does not get you anywhere near the all-time performers list. In fact, the last person on the first page is 6.56 seconds, so it would be quite a long shot that any of these performances even made like the top 50 or maybe even the top 100. So a little bit slow, a little bit sluggish in the three-cone drill. Our top performers ever in the three-cone drill: Jeff Mail in 2011, wide receiver out of Oregon, scored 6.42 seconds. Then we've got defensive back out of Tennessee, Chattanooga, Buster Skrine in 2011, 6.44 seconds. Then in 2019, linebacker out of West Virginia, David Long Jr., who had 6.45 seconds, tied with Scott Long, wide receiver out of Louisville in 2010, 6.45 seconds. And finally, in 2011, we've got Dane Sansenbacher, wide receiver out of Ohio State, 6.46 seconds. So, not only did Des Johnson not come within 10 of the nearest, I mean, I don't know, this is a big disparity. The last person on this list is Dylan Cantrell, wide receiver out of Texas Tech in 2018, 6.56 seconds. That's almost 0.1 off from our top finisher this year. And that dude, Des Johnson, is quite a bit ahead of the rest of the field at 6.65, the next person being 6.71. So, yikes. Not a great year for the three-cone drill, but that's okay. Let's move into our penultimate combine drill that we're going to be taking a look at. This is going to be the 20-yard shuttle. 20-yard shuttle. We're going to see some familiar names in the all-time category, but let's take a look at the finishers this year, the top finishers from this year. So, coming in at 5th, wide receiver out of Minnesota, Daniel Jackson, who had a 4.07 second performance. Then we've got running back out of Texas Tech, Taj Brooks, who ran a 4.06 seconds for 4th. In a 3rd place, we've got Isaac Tesla, wide receiver out of Arkansas, 4.05 seconds. Next up, we have, yet again, Darian Porter, cornerback out of Iowa State, 4.04 seconds. And finally, we've got safety out of Nevada, Keaton Crawford, 4.03 seconds. Very well done. Now, our top performer out of 2025 was at 4.03 seconds. And this, unfortunately, is not close to being on the all-time list for the 20-yard shuttle. Once again, if we were to try and compare it to the last person on this page, which I estimate is about 30 or so people, that score is 3.94. And this year we had a 4.03 as our best. 3.94 being shared by DeAndre Elliott, Byron Jones, Odell Beckham Jr., Isaiah Burst, and Stephon Gilmore. So we definitely have some heavy hitters. And yeah. But let's take a look at our best performers of all time in the top 5 of the top 20-yard shuttle. Number 1, we've got got a two-way tie between wide receiver out of Oregon State, Brandon Cooks, and cornerback out of Tennessee, Jason Allen. Jason Allen in 2006, Brandon Cooks in 2014. They both ran a record time of 3.81 seconds. Then in 2015, we've got quarterback out of Memphis, Bobby McCain, with a 3.82 second performance. Next up, we have 2013, cornerback out of William and Mary, B.W. Webb, who had a 3.84 second performance. And I remember these names. Tied for 5th place, we have in 2016 Justin Simmons, free safety out of Boston College, and in 2013 Desmond Trufant, cornerback out of Washington, both running a 3.85. Desmond Trufant is a familiar name. I haven't seen it in a minute, but I do recognize it. And yeah, obviously Justin Simmons, Brandon Cooks, names that everyone probably knows. Oh, yeah, crazy. Brandon Cooks is 3.81, and our fastest this year was 0.22 away from that at 4.03. This guy was next level. Keaton Crawford, not coming close. And finally, we will move into our last combine performance from this year and from all time. We've got the bench press. Now, I believe, let me just double check. I believe they're benching 225. Combine bench press. No, that's the page I'm already on. I want to know, how much are they benching? One key event is a bench press, which requires people to bench 225 as many times as possible. Okay, good. I feel like 225 is a pretty standard amount. That's the 2 plates. This might come as a surprise. I know that in the camera I look very swole. I do look like a mountain of a man from time to time, but I actually can't bench 2 plates. I can bench 1 plate, so that should count for something. But 2 plates, I'm still working up to it, so you won't see me in the combine just yet. But let's take a look at our top finishers from this year in 2025. In 5th place, tied for 5th place at 31 reps, we had offensive tackle out of Missouri, Armand Membu, and guard out of Sacramento State, Jackson Slater. Then, tied for 2nd place, we have, with 32 reps, tight end out of Alabama, C.J. Dipper, and edge rusher out of Oklahoma, Ethan Downs. And finally, at number 1 in the 2025 Combine, guard out of Cincinnati, Luke Kandra, with 33 reps. So 33 reps is our best performer in this year's draft class. Let's see, would that make the all-time list? No, it would not. Our lowest competitor on this list is at 37 reps, Simon Stepaniak, and that is a good 4 reps ahead of Luke Kandra. So not a great year for the bench either. Let's take a look at our top bench press performances of all time. And number 1 is kind of ridiculous. This is a unbelievable amount of weight being pushed in this first one. In 2011, we saw Stephen Bea, defensive tackle out of Oregon State, bench 225 pounds for 49 reps. That is crazy. That is absolutely insane. In 2010, our 2nd place finisher was Michael Petrus, offensive lineman out of Arkansas, at 45 reps. Tied with him was also Mike Kudla in 2006, defensive lineman out of Ohio State, 45 reps. Then tied for, I guess, most ever. We've got a four-way tie between Natane Muti in 2020, Dondari Poe in 2012, Jeff Owens in 2010, and Broderick Bunkley in 2006, all at 44 reps. I've heard of Stephen Bea, and I've heard of Dondari Poe. The other guys' names aren't quite ringing a bell, but Stephen Bea being at 49 reps is crazy. That is so far ahead of the next, the best performer this year, Luke Andra. Luke Andra, shout out to you. You beat everyone in your draft class, but holy moly, we've got some heavy lifters in the past. These are all linemen, and no, actually, some of them aren't. A lot of them are linemen, offensive line, defensive line, but you've got a linebacker in the mix. Where'd he go? Nonde. Yeah, he's the only linebacker out there. Wow. Goodness gracious. One day you'll see me out there. 50 reps of 225. I've done one plate, for 2 reps. But I'm coming for you, Stephen Bea. But yeah, that's all I've got for you guys today. We got to take a look at our top performers in this year's Combine, compare them to some of the all-time performances. This video is brought to you by Isaiah Bond. Thank you for making your outlandish remarks, and we got to take a look at how you really fared against the best of the best, and how everyone in the draft class fared against the best of the best. I will say, from what we've seen, obviously this doesn't mean everything. I think the biggest jumpers in this year's draft class from their Combine results alone is going to be Matthew Golden, Darian Porter, Nick Emanmori, Bishal Tootin, Keaton Crawford, Jalen Noel, and is there anyone else? Tez Johnson. Yeah, that's everyone who I'm gonna give a nod to. And yeah, that is all. So, thank you for watching. If you enjoy content like this, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be putting out more videos as the weeks progress. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.